The following is an Operation Podcast production.
If you're coming from a place of love, it doesn't really matter what you do. You're not going to go too far. You're doing it with a friend or a relative. I just think people are going to see that. And, I get a lot of DMs, a lot of people, even if it's like one of my more brutal pranks on my father, DMs be like, dude, this reminds me so much of my relationship with my dad. Like, love seeing you guys. So even though it's pranky stuff, people can still connect and they see the bond that we share.
Cover me in colors I can only see with you. I'd be better with another, but I always pick you. I try my best to fight it, can't deny it. Touches diamonds, and you're probably the reason that I'm so messed up too. I can't stop it, it's ugly, but honest. Got me tripping for the way you say my name, say my name, say my name.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jake Gould here, aka Jake's Funny on TikTok. I am a comedian / prankster, and today I'm on Live Through Love. We're talking about harassing my father and talking about the greatest comedians of all time, like myself, of course. And tune in now.
Jake.
Yes, sir.
We're just going to dive right in because I'm looking at something. And for those that are tuning in via audio, you may want to pop over to YouTube later and we'll show this. We'll obviously black out the pertinent information.
Yeah, please.
Right?
Please.
But tell me about this photo. I'm looking at his driver's license.
Yeah.
And first off, how did you manage to allow them or have them allow you to even do this? Like, walk me through this process, because I mean, this is a commitment. This is 10 years.
This is a 10-year commitment. It's funny. I'm actually going on a flight for the first time with this next week, so we're going to see how it does. But I took this photo. Should I show it to the camera?
Yeah.
I took this photo at the DMV, and obviously I look great. At least I think I look great. But I took it one time. They denied it. They sent me a letter. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for my mail, right? 2 weeks. It comes in the mail. And they sent a notice saying you have to retake your photo. Something went wrong or whatever. It's like, they denied it. So I went back. I did it again. Took the same photo, doing this face, right? Where I'm like that, and did it, got the same notice again, did it again. And at this point, my ID was actually expired. So I literally had no ID. I had the temp they give me. And I did it a third time, and I walked in and literally was like doing that face from the walk-in at the DMV, just going like this. I did the photo. The girl didn't say anything. Went home, got it 5 days later. So
wow. So the same exact look.
Yeah. So the message there is, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Persistence, right?
Persistence, perseverance.
With everything, right? Everyone thinks that everyone's an overnight success. We don't realize, like, no, we've been doing this for 10 years or 3 attempts at a photo at the DMV.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta push through no matter how many hurdles are in your way. No matter how many letters you get that say no good. Push through, power through, guys. So
what I'm curious is, whoever saw it at the next office is who denied it, but the person taking it just didn't care. They're like, really? Are you sure about this?
I actually filmed myself taking the photo. I held my phone down here. So I took the photo and I was like, how'd that look? And she looked at it. She goes, you want to take another one? I was like, no, it's good. She goes, are you sure? Do you want to look at it? I was like, no. It's definitely fine. She's like, okay. Because she's not the one who makes the decision. So she's like, all right, whatever, I'll send it off. And I assume it probably got sent off to the same person all 3 times until he was just like, screw it. Screw it. Let's let him do it.
He's committed.
Yeah.
What DMV office was this?
It was, actually I went to a different one the last time. So I wonder if that did it. There was one in Van Nuys I went to twice. And I think I went to Arleta all the way out there the third time. So maybe they just have a different staff. Yeah,
well, I grew up in the Valley, so I think the Arleta one's an easier one to get into. You never really want to go to Van Nuys is like a main one.
Yeah.
You always wanted to find the little obscure ones. I got my driver's license at, I think it was the one in Canyon Country or Newhall, if I remember, just because.
Like the test, you
the
mean?
actual
like that?
test.
Oh, yeah.
But
they were more lenient.
You just go out of your way to find which one's better for you.
That's funny. I did that one to Winnetka, I think, for my driver's license too. So and I passed first try.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So that photo to me tells me that you're a very confident man.
Yeah.
So where does that come from? Where's the confidence come from? Tell me a little bit about your journey. Obviously, Jake's funny.
Yes,
right?
Jake's
You're
funny.
A comedian or a jokester or a trickster. What would you say you do?
Clearly, yes. I like to call myself a comedian. Technically on social media, prankster, I guess, is more accurate. But I feel like there's a different connotation with prankster, you know? So I just say I'm a comedian, like the ID. I just do anything funny I can all the time, pretty much every day. And that's how I describe a comedian. There's always trying to do something for a laugh, whatever it is, whether it's a prank, whether it's a practical joke, whether I'm doing stand-up, even anything to get a laugh. And I've kind of always been this way from day one. Class clown, right? I was kind of a teacher's worst nightmare, which I feel like is a good, bad if you're the teacher, but it's a good setup if you want to pursue a career in comedy, right? To be the troublemaker. So I was always, and I was a straight A student too, oddly enough, but I would just always, anytime something came into my mind, had no filter, just blurted out any joke I could think of. I was always trying to make people laugh. And I guess there's like a dopamine rush when you make someone laugh, right? So I just kind of became addicted to trying to make people laugh any way I could. And then, I found a way to make money off it, to monetize it. So I found a career in social media. So it was just kind of obvious for me, I guess, even though it took me a little while because I wanted to go into real estate and finance first. Ended up just starting making people laugh. So
yeah, nice. Yeah. Well, my story goes, I've been an artist my whole life, went to school to be a doctor, got into real estate, then got into finance, and now I'm the artist I should have been. You skipped all that, but you thought about it.
Well, I actually did get my real estate license.
Oh, there you go.
But that's about as far as it went. When I was 19, I got it.
I don't know if just getting the license counts as full-on real estate, because you didn't go the door knocking and the dealing with the things. Right. But that's great. You got to cut the curve much quicker than I did.
Yes.
So, and then what's that like now?
You're like 23. You don't look a day over 23.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
You're not that old.
I just started drinking. Staying fit.
You're finally legal. Yeah.
Thank you for my parents for their genetics.
Yeah. You're going to Vegas soon to celebrate it? Or what?
I think Vegas is overrated.
I agree, actually.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Glad we find common ground on that because most people would disagree with us.
There's so many other places in the world to go see. And if the casino bug is something, go to Monaco.
Right, sure.
Go somewhere else.
Right.
Not saying don't go enjoy it. I would like to go just to see a show.
Right? Have you not seen one yet?
I've never gone to see a show. Maybe I'm also thinking it's overrated because I just partied my face off for too long there. Fair
enough, yeah.
And there is a lot more. There's good food. There are shows, and it'd be good to go back. But I don't see if I'll ever make my way back to Vegas.
Well, I know you can't see on the cameras, but you got some liquor up there, so we can bust out our own little Vegas in here.
We could. You're right. Who's got some dice?
Yeah, right. Be much cheaper.
So, I'm framing it this way on purpose, but what I've realized and what I've noticed, I tap into your TikTok, your IG, you love to harass your dad.
Yes, I really do. Yeah, and harass is a very fair word. That's not an unfair framing at all. I've always kind of been that way too, in a very loving sense. There's no ill will behind any of the jokes I do, and you can get that through anything I do. It's all love at the end of the day. But I would always like to prank my parents, my brother. We'd always pull jokes on each other. Just even so much as I remember this thing we always did, Wacky Wednesday. I remember it was like a Dr. Seuss book, I think. And every Wednesday when I was growing up, we would just take everything in the house and just put it all out of place. The remote control would be in the freezer and we flip everything upside down. We just do that. That's where it really started. We just always once a week, we just change the house around for the heck of it. And my first pranks kind of started as doing household things, right? One of my first videos was me just popping out of the refrigerator, which is something I would do when I was younger, and I was like, I feel like someone else would find this funny. Why don't I film it? I did. Sure enough, went viral immediately. And so it kind of started lower key. I wasn't really harassing him too much. But then, yes, if you're not aware, I've gotten a couple billboards with my dad's face on it. One of them for a fake ad for erectile dysfunction. One of them for a hemorrhoid commercial, which was a real Preparation H sponsored hemorrhoid commercial that coincided with the Super Bowl. So yeah, he was a little iffy on those, but I enjoy doing it. I enjoy seeing him, his face, his reactions.
So he's a patient man.
He's a very patient man, and he's a very good sport. Obviously, he's half, if not more than half of my success. Honestly, I owe to him of being the guy who I can always play a joke on, handle it with class. And to tell you the truth, he likes the attention. He likes the attention more than he's willing to admit. Because sometimes, right now, I'm kind of in a period where I haven't filmed in a couple weeks, 3 weeks, maybe any pranks on him specifically. And now he's like, Jake, when's the next video? I'm waiting, like, when are we coming out with something?
Yeah.
So yeah,
He's
so
like,
he likes it somewhat.
It's like, are you okay? Is something going on?
Yeah.
New career coming up?
No, yeah,
Working
honestly.
on something, Dad. Working on something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on the big prank.
So let's go back a little bit. So pranking led to something, and I just heard you put this billboard out for your father, hemorrhoid cream,
Yes,
and Preparation H sponsored it.
they did.
So how does some of that come about? Like you start doing jokes as a kid. Did you ever imagine that it would lead to that, and then being able to monetize it and create something around it?
Yeah, when I was a young boy, I always dreamt about working with Preparation H on a hemorrhoid. It's like every day, I don't even know what I'm going to come up with the next day, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even like I had, even when I started to even 5 months into it, it's not like I had a master plan of things to do. I just kind of think of something and start, gathering more. I'm like, can this work? Can I do this? And start going further and further until it becomes a reality. The Preparation H one, I started with a video of my dad and I in the supermarket where I just filmed like a fake ad where I got him and I was like, everyone, this is my dad and he suffers from terrible hemorrhoids. He's like, all right, here we go. It was it went very viral. I got like over 20 million views. So I was like, I got to capitalize on this. So I figured, because Preparation H commented on that video. So I didn't have this idea at all. And I saw the comment and I was wondering, I bet there's a way to work with them, right? This video got over 20 million views, reached out, lots of communication back and forth. Finally pitched them this idea. They were all for it. Their marketing team was all for it. So we made it happen. It was like 8 billboards around Los Angeles. They put up all the money for it. So they actually didn't pay me directly, but they paid for all the billboards, which of course is a lot of money. And I was able to have free reign on the design, use my dad as the poster child, and it was successful. It was awesome. They loved it too. So
that's amazing. So the way I want to unpack that, because as artists and as creators, I always want to bring knowledge to the audience. It's like, how do you turn something you love into an opportunity? So you played a joke, it went viral, they commented. Instead of thinking, oh, maybe they'll reach out and email me, you're like, hey, let me reply, hit them up, pitch them the concept. They loved it, paid for the billboards. And you're like, look, this is just great. I'm taking my joke to that next level. And you weren't so much worried about what the money was going into your pocket. You saw it as amplifying your cause, your craft, and who you are as a creator.
Of course, there's a lot of things you got to do for just trying to grow your audience and grow your brand, regardless of the money. It's fun. It's funny. I'm looking at all this great artwork you have in here, and we're talking about making my dad's face on a hemorrhoid billboard. In the picture, he's like holding his like butt in it, and it's hilarious. But yeah, I guess you can call it art. Sure. We'll call it art. But yeah, you have to be proactive for sure. As a creator, obviously people are not, unless you have tens of millions of followers, people are not just going to reach out and hand you money. So yeah, and I'm sure you have to reach out to people. You have to hustle, make your work happen, right?
You got to put in the work for the passion you have for it. Like you clearly have passion for that, and that's why you do it. Right? Sometimes it's like, well, how do I just make money? Your passion starts burning out, or your intention changes and it's no longer authentic. It's no longer funny. It doesn't go viral. You can't make a video go viral. It just happens to go viral. You learn a formula over time, but it doesn't mean they're all going to go, or else all your videos would have gone viral, right?
Of course. Yeah, of course. And burnout, you mentioned burnout. I mean, especially with social media, I'm sure obviously any job has its form, but I've noticed of all the jobs I've had, this, even though it's a weird job to say, I pranked my father kind of, but this one I actually have the most burnout by far of anything, because it's that daily, writing is a big part of it, trying to stare at a computer screen and come up with a new concept every day and just racking my brain. And then I finally come up with something. I put a lot of time and effort into it. I make it, and then people don't like it, it gets no views, and I got to do it again and again. So I guess I'd ask you, let's say an artwork. Obviously you put a lot of time into a piece, your heart and soul into it, let's say, and then people don't like it or no one buys it. Where's the motivation to go right back in and paint again? Do you get a little discouraged?
Great question. And the way I'm going to answer it, and this is what has gotten me to this point and continue to go down this path, is long-term vision. I'm not doing it for the short term. I'm doing it for the long term. I see where the culmination of all of this, the snowball effect, right? eventually the avalanche of love is going to be so big. Doesn't matter what happened today, right now. They didn't like it. It didn't land or whatever the case is. I'm just so committed to that. Mm-hmm. So that's how I would answer. But yes,
easier
of course.
said than done, obviously.
Yeah, there's days I'm like, really? I'm going to go paint a thing again? Oh, man. Because it's only because we're either tired or it's been a tough week. Like, there's a lot of things. We're humans.
Sure.
And it's okay to feel human. But in your case, I'll flip it right back. How do you feel when something doesn't land? Like, how do you deal with the discouragement of wanting to continue? And I'm sure more jokes and pranks and videos and efforts than not actually go down the wayside.
Right. And many which I film and I don't even post in the first place because I'm not even happy with the result. So that's more common. Luckily, I will say I went viral very quickly. So there wasn't an initial like ramp up fail period. So it was kind of like I was on the horse from day one. And at the beginning, it was like going viral and viral. And I was like, even if a couple flopped, I was like, okay, that's fine. But now, yeah, as I'm kind of settling and I'm posting less often, it's hard to every day keep coming up with these big ideas. Yeah, I guess I try and let everything bounce off my shoulder. I go, what do these people know? You know, what does TikTok know? They didn't like it. You know, they didn't share it enough. They're dumb. So I guess I kind of just chalk it up to like, well, as long as I'm happy with it, right? As long as I feel like with painting too, as long as you're happy with the piece, that's ultimately what matters. Now you still got to pay the bills. You still got to grow your audience. But now I used to do something that only was like, if I knew the algorithm would kind of like it, I'm like, you know what, this is a video. It's like just the right length. The algorithm's going to push it out probably. I think I'll get views. I kind of catered towards that. But now that I have a following, it's more, do I like this video? Is this funny to me? And if nobody else likes it, who cares? Yeah. Right. So.
And that's staying true to you. But there's a maturity around that. And right now, we look at everything going on with social media. Metrics are down across the board. Views are down across the board. It used to be Instagram loves art. Post a photo of art. Everyone would like it. Right. Now it's like, nope, Instagram doesn't like that anymore. No one sees it. Then they like a reel. You're like, oh, that reel just popped. And then another reel's like, nope, doesn't like that. You don't know what it is anymore.
Yeah.
But to me, it's
a moving
about
target, and it's just
putting it out there and putting it out there and putting it out there, right?
And that's what I struggle with the most is constantly putting things out there because I've kind of taken which most creators do not take at all. I've kind of taken a quality over quantity approach, and 90-something% will take the quantity over quality. Just post daily, something will hit, right? The moving bullseye, you'll get it eventually. And me, I'm kind of a perfectionist. So I'm kind of like, I want this video to be perfect and I want it to hit the bullseye every time. But I do think I should try more and find that balance. Quantity over quality. Because if you're waiting for the perfect thing every time, you're not going to produce anything.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that because I'm about quality over quantity as well. But at the same time, perfectionism is something we would like to strive for, but is it attainable? Nothing's ever perfect. Nothing's ever complete. And when you think you're at the finish line, you're like, oh, I could have tweaked that or said this, and you'll always be able to manipulate it. So it's like, at what point do you surrender?
Right.
Is it good enough? Do I like it? And am I happy with it? And will I put my name on it? Okay, I could check all that. Is it perfect? No, but the work I put into it is.
Right. And I don't know when that point comes either. I guess it's just a point when you're just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You don't even know when it's going to come. But, all the greatest anything, I guess, were some form of perfectionists. All the greatest athletes, all the greatest artists, the great thinkers, they're all perfectionists. So you definitely have to be. But you can't drive yourself mad getting to that perfect point, which is what I'm slowly starting to relax myself a little bit. It's all right. Maybe if you want to do better next time, sure, it's good enough. Send it out. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's jump into 3 tips you would give to the young creator, the side hustling comedian, prankster, that wants to start doing something. What's like the easiest thing? Is like, this is no excuse. You can do 1, 2, and 3 and start getting out there.
All right. So honestly, first off, you got to get on social media because if I'm just talking to people who want to be comedians in some form, even if you're purely stand-up, purely want to do arenas, sell out shows, you still have to be on social media. And you see some of the biggest comedians now are posting their clips, bite-sized clips on Instagram everywhere. They're blowing up. So there's no excuse not to. It's very easy. All you need is a phone, right? People think sometimes, especially even if, let's say you want to do YouTube videos and you want to vlog, you don't really need professional equipment. I mean, maybe if you're doing a podcast, yes, but you just need a phone. That's how I started. That's all you need. So the barrier to entry is low. I don't want you to think there's this massive hurdle ahead of gearing up with a crew and a camera. Just use your phone.
Gimbals and boom mics and no.
Exactly. So it's easy to start. Just make sure you start and start posting stuff. After that, after you do post stuff, I wouldn't necessarily say, like, a lot of people say like consistency is key. It can be, but you don't always have to be consistent. You can take breaks. You can go at your own pace. So I'd say just finding that pace, whatever it is, whatever works for you, whether you need to set a schedule, you need to make a calendar 9 to 5, which helps some people, but that's not how I operate, at least most of the time. I actually, when I was starting, like, I free ball everything every day. I had no set schedule, no idea what I was going to do. And I was okay with that. And I still made great content, in my opinion. So find your own pace, your own calendar, your own schedule. It doesn't matter. As a prankster, as a comedian, you are kind of self-employed, right? As an artist, you're kind of self-employed, right? So you have to find
my boss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is a great feeling sometimes. Although it is tough because there's no one else to really motivate you, right? You kind of have to motivate yourself. Yeah. You kind of have to smack yourself and get up every day, which is tough. Then a third, what sage wisdom can I give to the young people out there looking to torture their fathers? I'd say just have fun with it. Just have fun with it. You know, if you really don't like what you're doing, it's impossible. You talked about the longevity, the long term, impossible to keep going. Yeah. And I found that even with pranking my father now, starting to get stale to me a little bit. Some things are getting old. I can't just keep scaring him. So I'm now kind of in a spot where I'm trying to find other content a little bit. Like you pulled out the ID at the beginning. I just posted a video of my ID, my 15-year-old ID to now, which has nothing to do with my dad, obviously. And people still found it funny. So I'm realizing you can kind of change it up. You can mix it up. If something's stale, you got to switch it up. So make sure you're absolutely loving what you're doing.
So just do it. You can use an iPhone. It doesn't matter. An Android, who cares?
Do it your way.
Yeah. Do it your way at your own pace.
Yes, at your own pace.
And evolve.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right? Evolve to make sure you're always doing what you like. Yeah. You have to adapt, because if you're ever stuck doing something you're not passionate about, like you said, people will see that it's not as authentic. They'll see the burnout. They'll see that it's less funny. You can't fake it. So
we're on the Live Through Love show, right? Yeah. So I'm going to ask you things about love.
Yes.
We're not talking romantic love. We don't need to talk about that.
Are you flirting with me, Ruben?
Maybe a little bit. Just don't touch the shoes. How do you apply love in pranks? Because pranks could be, especially if you're a little kid, they could be on the bully side, right? They could be pretty nasty. You could prank someone, they can get hurt. Or you could prank someone in jest and, do it some of the ways that you're doing it. That billboard could have gone the wrong way with the wrong person. Obviously, you knew your audience with your father and the subject. But how does love play a role in what you're doing and how you're showcasing it?
Like you said, definitely know your audience. So if it's coming from a place of love in the first place, for the most part, it's like you can do no wrong. Of course you can. But like I truly, obviously, love my father. We have a great relationship. So knowing that there's nothing I could ever do that's like mean-spirited in the first place. So if you were to prank a stranger on the street and you were just trying to get clickbait views and you were embarrassing someone like in public, like that's not really a place of love. And obviously there's a lot of pranksters out there. Now there's a very fine line as a prankster between something that's hilarious and something that's cringy or too far. And sometimes, of course, I've crossed that line. I go, okay, here's the line. You have to find it to cross it, right? Yeah. But I think just if you're coming from a place of love, it doesn't really matter what you do. You're not going to go too far. You're doing it with a friend or a relative. I just think people are going to see that. And, I get a lot of DMs, a lot of people, even if it's like one of my more brutal pranks on my father, DMs would be like, dude, this reminds me so much of my relationship with my dad. Like, love seeing you guys. So even though it's pranky stuff, people can still connect and they see the bond that we share, which is a weird bond, but it's there.
So let's talk about a little bit of that. So obviously you're pranking people. You want to laugh, you want to like, you want to comment. And I've noticed this in my art with my street art the reaction that people start actually experiencing Like what you just said, hey,
Right.
this reminds me of my relationship with my dad. How many interactions have you had where you're like, wow, the intention went way deeper than, haha, it's funny, and actually went, look, this is helping my relationship with my dad. This is helping me and my mother. This is helping my siblings. How many stories do you have around that, and how has that impacted what you're continuing to do?
I'll get a lot, that's one of the things that's kept me going, especially through burnout periods, is when you do get a really nice message that, cause I just want to say, like, I want to say real quick to everyone, like, I'm not necessarily making videos because I'm, trying to heal the world through comedy. You know, it's not that deep for me. I'm just trying to make people laugh at the end of the day, which is a great thing. I always want to make people laugh as much as I can. But yeah, it wasn't until I kept making videos, I kind of realized like some people really, truly are moved by it and affected. Like even a simple video, I get some, a lot of people who's, my father passed recently, a lot of people whose parents passed, they say like, I wish, that you remind me of him so much. Like I cherish the what you have with him. So it's nice. And a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, which is exactly when I started basically like New Year's Eve, 2020. And during the pandemic, a lot of messages, it was like, thank you for distracting me for at least just 20 seconds even. Like, thank you so much for distracting me. And I'm like, that's not what I was necessarily trying to do. But if it's a side effect of also making people laugh, like great, if you can escape any problem, heal any pain, even slightly, it's a big win in my book. And obviously you do that through art too. If you can make anyone feel something deeper for even a second, it's a huge victory. Yeah.
I mean, it's a happy accident. At first, bright, shiny colors, looks better on a wall. Cool. Oh, wow, that cut deep. This reminds me of this trauma, or this reminds me of this thing that happened to me. And same thing. But, maybe that wasn't your initial intention, but it is a byproduct. And have you noticed that you may think about it a little bit more because it does happen?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And with my dad too, we, one day I'm sure we're going to look back. We already are, but we're going to look back, I'm sure. And this will probably be the times we remember the most, like during these videos I would do with him. Cause he actually, not a lot of people know this, he got laid off during the pandemic. His job of 32 years, job was wiped out. And I just graduated college at this time. So that's how I kind of got started too. It kind of led this fire. It was the perfect storm. I moved back in with him because it was right during COVID. So it was just me and him locked in together for a while. He was laid off. It was pretty much impossible for me to find work at that time. Obviously the world was over, so I was like, well, how can I make the most of this? So I was like, this is perfect for us to kind of work together on, even though I wouldn't say it's really working together as much as me doing it against him, but more or less, it's definitely passed the time in a great way for us throughout this pandemic. So I'm sure we'll look back and cherish these memories.
Yeah, a nice byproduct of a time where it was really dark for all of humanity.
It's weird. It's still weird right now, but
it's like those 2 years are missing.
Yeah.
One whole year is really missing, but that second year following up is still missing too. Yeah. Because in my head, it's really, it's 2019.
No,
what happened to 2020, 2021?
Yeah. And I just turned 25. I feel old as hell now, but like, I'm definitely 24 or 23 because those years did not happen. They didn't count.
Like, there's zeros in everyone's book. Right.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I realized, not just through the work that I have been doing, but the pandemic showed a really clear light, and it's only elevated this more. And it's one of the things I also talk about. It's love versus fear. And when you turn on the TV, there is no lack of fear in the world being portrayed, right? Pandemics and politics and violence and shootings, like all these things. And we're able to take either comedy, either art, and start sharing this other message of love and showing how humans are more than what's being shown at us. And we can choose to feel better, be happy, make people laugh. And then by that, it's making us feel better also.
Right. I mean, as cliched as it is, the only way to fight hatred is with love, right? It's not a long-term solution to fight any fear or hatred with more hatred. So yeah, you're right. As simple as it sounds, it's like when there's fear and negativity shown everywhere you look, every second, you can't walk outside without stepping in a puddle of negativity somewhere. Yeah, you have no choice. You either join that or you counteract it, right?
Exactly.
with LOVE right here. Yeah.
To react or respond.
Right. Yes.
Right. And obviously we're more of the responders and trying to show more light, love, and happiness in the
world. We're
the
love soldiers over here. Yeah.
I like it. So let's say videos end tomorrow, social media ends tomorrow. What would be the next thing for you? How would you continue your path? Like, what's the next evolution of you?
Probably male prostitution, I think. No.
What's your rate?
What's my rate? Very expensive. No, that's a good question. I guess now, so there's a question of, okay, if I stop social media right now, and then there maybe like if I never did social media in the first place, where would I go? And that would probably be more like a real estate finance. But now that I've kind of been in the entertainment industry in some aspect now, I think I would stay in that. Mm-hmm. I think I would stay. If I stopped making videos, I would still like to, it could go in traditional acting or, starting a podcast, something like that, going into stand-up comedy. What my real dream job would be is to be a host of like an actual show. Like actually, through my videos, I've been reached out a couple times by casting directors auditioning me for different gigs. And one of them was like a host that was going to be like a kids cooking prank show. And like, I was like, oh, this would be perfect. I would be like a host for that. Needless to say, I didn't get the job, but something like that, I think, where I was in an unscripted sort of improv environment where I'm able to bring my personality, be myself, but, be in front of an audience still. I do like an audience. I do like a stage. I like the spotlight, maybe I'm selfish. I don't know, but something like that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. What about you? If you weren't so darn talented?
I don't know. Great question. And
you've also done it for so much longer now. So you can't imagine a life without it, right?
I can't do anything else. This is what I have to do.
Right.
I have to do it. That's why everything else is a byproduct. But if we look at it, it's I started with street art and murals, and then I went to canvas, and then canvas I went prints and clothing and sculptures and video and podcasts and books and poetry. Like, it's just continuing to spread the message in art in general. Obviously this medium is the main medium. But some people don't know I do poems and I write poetry and
I did not really either. So
yeah,
interesting.
So
I'm sure you're good at it though. I see your art, so I know you're probably good at that too.
But at this point, this is what I have to do. There's no option. There's no going back. I'm not going back to finance. I'm not going back to real estate.
Don't put us behind a desk, pushing papers at it. No,
not going back to med school. It's just not going to happen. Right. So
just fine. Obviously other people love that. Great. If you do, awesome. Yeah.
If money was an absolute zero object, I've got a beautiful baby boy, and full-time dad wouldn't be a bad thing,
Yeah. How is being a father?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's my greatest creation.
That's true.
Right? Obviously. And I only played half of the role in that. Obviously my wife, physically, she really did the work.
Yeah. Although that one's not for sale though.
No. If he sells himself later, that's on him.
Well, yeah.
But definitely not for me. No, it's the greatest thing. If you want to have kids one day and you go down that path, when you have them, you'll experience something that it's another level of humanity.
That's what I hear. I don't know if I do want to have kids because I look at kids like myself when I was a kid and I'm like, geez, I don't know.
Take your time. I definitely didn't rush it, and I wasn't ready when I was 25.
Right.
And I never had this massive burning desire, like I have to have kids and be a dad. No, but it's like right time, right partner, right timing. It all worked out. It's the greatest thing ever. I could see regretting never having them, but you won't regret once you have them.
Sure. Yeah.
And I couldn't see my life without them. It's just a whole nother thing.
Makes sense. Yeah. I guess I'm at a spot too where it's like, I think I want kids maybe.
Don't worry about it.
But you'll know. I got time.
Don't worry about it.
Very random question, by the way, but I was just thinking about it. For blind people, is there any way you're able to reach them through your art?
That's a great question.
Do you know, have you met a blind person who you that you've talked about your art with?
I have not. talked about, yes, maybe, but not anyone that's ever experienced it. Because then it's storytelling. We're telling stories with the art physically, but now I'm going to tell a story. And if I'm sitting here, like, how would I describe this and write it out for the visually impaired? And it's interesting. I know I've talked to different organizations in the past about trying to do something with Braille or some kind of bumps to outline it so they can kind of see it.
Right.
And it'd be interesting one day to really check that out. But I've talked to like colorblind people and they're like, yeah, I see it as like gray, or I don't see there's red in it. You know, it's like
right. Yeah.
different ways of looking at it. But I think it's all the experience to the person. Like, I have an intention when I put it out there, but it's solely for you to take it in. Once I release it, it's not on me. It's now how you experience it. How do you walk through the door? What's the message that you're taking with it, and how are you going to impact other people with it? Those are things I cannot control. I just hope that what I put up inspires you to go do something to be a good human and a better human, and not just to others, but to yourself. Right?
If you can inspire one person a day, and
the ripple
just
effect.
to smile, exactly.
Right? If we set out to bring world peace as one person, like, that's ego. That's narcissistic.
I mean,
like,
maybe not for you, but I think I could do it. But you know.
Probably, yeah. You know, just make them laugh and everyone but still, it's
even 1,000 people is you know, it takes everyone to a degree. Yeah.
And that ripple effect is like, if I can make one person feel better, and so on and so forth. But in that same light, like, how am I today? Am I angry today? Am I this today? And then you don't want to transfer that to somebody else. I think it's just practicing over time, like really realizing how we affect people and trying to just affect them better. And the key word is trying. Because when you say, I hate the word trying in the sense, oh, I try to do that. I'm like, you're actually doing it.
Right.
So if you know you're
Give yourself
doing
some credit,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, trying is doing.
Right.
And just use it positively. So
anyway, I had nothing to plug with like a blind charity or anything. It was just a random question I had.
No, it was fun.
I'm sure immersive art. Have you ever done immersive type art?
I have a lot of things. Well, besides, if you stand next to a mural that's three stories tall, it's pretty immersive.
True.
But I know what you're talking
with
about.
Like sounds that will come at you and like.
So the few art shows that I've had, it's not just me hanging art on a wall. It's an experience. Like, I bring my friends that are musicians, and I bring friends that are dancers. And like, there's music and there's food. So that's as immersive as it's been. But now with the virtual reality and Web3, there's some crazy ideas in my head that I want to bring to fruition. I don't know. A lot of people may have seen that Van Gogh experience that was kind of all over the place with music.
I missed it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know what we're talking about. I didn't actually go to it. I walked through the videos and seen that. And I'm like, oh, I would have loved to see that. And whatever comes next, I'm going to make sure I carve out time. But there's another level that you can really start affecting people more. So I totally want to start going down the Web3 space with really being able to show love and fear. Like, I want to show it all, the ugly, and how love starts answering all these conversations, and then realizing that if you walk through this path, I'm building it out in my head, but at the end of it, without giving away my secret, it really is going to show you, the viewer, experiencing it as the answer. That's the whole point. So this immersive experience I want to build is all about really telling you, the viewer, the experiencer, the audience, that you're the answer.
Let me know when you build that. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Sounds something. Sure. Is there any limit at all to art?
No.
In any way? Unlimited. No. Yeah.
I think the only limit's the limit we put on it ourselves.
Right. It's fine. I was just looking. I'm not like a big museum guy, honestly. I'm just like, I don't know. They're all very similar to me. I'm also not like, I don't have like a very keen eye for art. I'm sure you notice way more subtle differences in the nuance of art than me. But I was just looking at this thing. What is it? The Hammer Museum. There's an exhibit. I don't even know if you know. I just found it's like an immersive hot tub. That's like, you're apparently like with a partner inside of an actual hot tub. And there's like a show kind of around you. And that's like an art exhibit at the museum.
Interesting.
And I was like, wow, that sounds insane. Because, when I think of art, when someone says art, I think of just like looking at a painting. Like, that's pretty much it when I think of art. And obviously art, it could be anything, right? It's crazy how I'm sure there's even crazier things than that. But just me seeing that, I was like, this is an exhibit. I was like, can you even do this? Is this allowed? You can go in a hot tub in the museum. Like, so sounds very cool.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's no limit. I think humans love making meaning out of everything. So if we define it differently, if we say that's not art, that's you saying that. Doesn't mean the person who built it is saying that.
So you think it's is it purely subjective,
art
or is it
very
mostly subjective?
It's very subjective.
Okay. Yeah.
It's obviously objective in the sense of like, oh, that's a painting, that's a sculpture, that's, music, video.
Right.
But how you interpret it and how you experience it and how you define it, yeah, it's subjective. Even saying you're funny, what if you're not funny? There's probably people that don't think you're funny.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they just objectively have a bad sense of humor if they think that. But no, it's funny because comedy, I've gotten into that argument with people before too. And there's definitely subjectivity, but I still think there's some objectivity to comedy because, and I don't know, it's not so much necessarily as an interpretation as like an involuntary reaction almost. Like you can't help when you laugh. And I think, there's a reason that there's comedians who sell out crowds constantly every night, and some who have practiced for 30 years and can never get out of the open mic night. I think there's a clear, if you put 100 people in a room, they can kind of, with comedy more so, say, okay, 93 of us think this person's funnier than this person. 7 might think this. So it's still subjective. Every joke can be subjective, but I do think there's a hint of, it's like human nature. Like you can't help a laugh, and humans find similar things funny. Yeah. Right. Just like humans find similar things attractive. Humans have similar tastes and stuff. So there's an element of both, I guess.
Well, yeah. Well, there's different types of humor, right? Dark humor and dry humor. And
I like all of it. Yeah.
Like there's certain shows that are common. Like that's just not, I don't like it. It's not my shtick. That's not my kind of comedy. And I used to love, like, if we go way back in the day to some of the movies that I thought were hilarious, it's like Old School.
Yeah. Well, it's a great movie.
Like some classics. Hank the Tank. So who are your 3 favorite comedians?
So George Carlin was my favorite stand-up comedian.
Ooh, if he was live right now.
I know. I wonder, he got angrier towards the end of his career. I know. Obviously.
He's still relevant though. You look back at some of his stuff.
Yeah. I love him. He was my favorite. Another stand-up. I like Anthony Jeselnik. If you know who he is, you mentioned dark humor. He's like the darkest humor. I love dark humor. He's purely more of like one-liner type of guy, like Stephen Wright type guy. He's very set up punchline, but like with horrible misdirection type punchline. So he's different than Carlin. I love him. Then third, I'll go away from the stand-up comedian. Let me think of another comedian besides myself, obviously. I think probably I don't know this guy's name, but I remember there was a guy, if I want to be inspiring for a second, a guy in America's Got Talent who I remember seeing couldn't talk. He was completely.
I know who you're
talking about. And he like played the soundboard literally with his jokes. Like imagine being able to make someone laugh without literally being able to speak. Like that's tough to do. Yeah. And so he's you would never think, like, it's like, imagine you have no limbs and you try and become a painter kind of, it's like being able to do that and push through that is wild. That he's funnier to me than 99% of comedians who speak, and he's still able to do that. Incredible.
No. So I know exactly who you're talking about.
Right.
I mean, AGT has become quickly a guilty pleasure of mine. Yeah. Like my wife was watching it. She likes to joke that I used to make fun of her for watching it. But now it's like, I can't wait for the next episode. Like, there's so many incredible human beings. And
it's crazy to see what you're up against too. You're like, oh Jesus, like this is what I'm up against.
And the limits of humanity and what you can see, like there is no limits. These people, these acrobats, things that you've seen a million times, they go and level it up.
Yeah.
In all kinds of facets.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And why I like it, like I'm not a big reality TV show guy, but to me that it's a talent show. And you have the opportunity to go on stage, put your heart on the line, and now America sees you and you can blow up.
Oh, overnight. Like TikTok too, but that especially. Oh.
Which in my head this is a question I was actually going to think. Would you ever try out for America's Got Talent?
Oh, if I felt I had something, 100%. Because I have half of my pranks are like public pranks where I'm like making an ass of myself in public. So I don't have like a fear of failing or going in front of a big audience or anything. So it would just be a matter of, do I think I have something? And I don't know what, I would probably do something that would make people laugh. Mm-hmm. So I could, stand-up comedians do well there, but I'd have to have something unique, something different, just a 2-minute set. I don't know. You have any suggestions for me?
Well, yeah, just be you.
Just be me. Oh, thank you. We'll see. I don't know if that'll win me $1 million, but
I wouldn't say no, but imagine just getting on the show and having an opportunity.
Oh, it would be awesome. Yeah, people. Actually, another one of my dreams too. If it wasn't a hosting job, SNL would be something. I would like more of the improv style rather than just reading lines. I'm not big on just reading lines that someone else wrote. SNL would be awesome. And I know people have, I think Melissa Villasenor, who's on there now, was discovered through AGT. She just, very basic. She just did impressions, good impressions. She just went up there, did some impressions. SNL, so definitely if I did something that I think could showcase talent.
So what I want to do before I ask you my favorite question is challenge you to just go audition. Auditions are happening now.
Are they?
Like, I would love that.
Right.
I think in the only sense I can, and this is random. I have no intention to where our conversation is going to go, but I think like, don't overthink it. Just be you and go put it out there and try out. You never know what's going to happen. But if anything, on the trajectory of where you're trying to go, I see this as a perfect stepping stone. It's only a forward opportunity, 100%. But I would love to get you back on here. Hey,
yeah.
So how is it now that you've been on America's Got Talent, huh?
That would be cool.
Dealing with Simon.
We'll see if I would have time for you after that. I might be like too much of a big shot.
It's okay.
No.
We'll figure it out.
I can't say no to a challenge usually. So we'll see if I can come up with something that I'm passionate about.
Even like, look, I'll even. You can flip it into how you go prank the auditions.
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah, you can do anything on there. Sure.
So thank you so far for sharing, for opening up. But now for the serious question. You ready?
I have trouble being serious, just so you know. But yeah.
Oh, you can totally joke through the answer. Just do it your way. It's not that serious. But how do you define living a life through love?
It's a great question. It's almost like you've asked this on your other podcast. You probably should have prepared an answer for this.
Yeah.
But living a life through love. Another sort of cliche thing. I don't even know if this answers it directly, but one of the best ways I've found as far as treating people, because it all starts with how you treat someone. Now you can live a life alone and never interact with anyone and still probably live a life through love. Sure. However, for most people like me, extroverted, always around people. I always want to be around people. And I think treating people, someone told me once, just treat everyone like they're a family member that you love. And, like my brother, if I treat everyone like my actual brother, if I see you as someone who would actually be related to me, like someone I would like if you were like in need of help, I would drop anything and do something for you. Now, obviously, like to an extent, but I think treating everyone like they're your literal brother, you're like a blood relative, because we don't share the same parents doesn't mean we don't still share pretty much all the same DNA. We're still have the same goals in life at the end of the day. So I think just seeing you as not a stranger, or even on a football field, and you're not for that sport, that day, that game, you might be the enemy for an hour, but after that, you're my brother, just like anyone else. So you got to treat everyone like they're, if you're not doing well, then I'm not doing well. And that's genuinely how I feel most of the time. I try and tell myself that at least, because it's weird to me to feel like, even just if you see, drive off the freeway and you see like a homeless person, like it's not easy to see that all the time.
No, it's not.
And I know some people can kind of just look away. It's like, I still see them. If they're not doing well, I don't feel like I'm doing well. So I guess I just want everyone to do well. And if you have that mindset, I feel like you can live your life through a place of love, because you naturally will love everyone.
No, I love that answer.
Again, easier said than done, but
no, totally. Obviously. Yeah. No, I love that answer. And one thing you say there, because it's an example that I use a lot, is I think one of the worst things you could do to yourself as a human being is when you do walk by, and I live in Venice, I'm always walking by homeless people. And if you look away and pretend they're not there.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you thinking? I'm just saying, like, when you look in the mirror, what are you thinking when you're looking at yourself? If you're doing that to a total stranger, right? For whatever reason, like, so from them, even if you're not going to give them money, you're not going to help, because obviously sometimes it's like, hey, I'll buy you a meal. It says you're hungry. Can I walk you in here? Yeah. And they're like, no, I just want the money.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously know that we can't solve everything, but
of course.
Give them the time of day, say hi, and look at them in the eyes. And just, I see you, you're a human. And
unless they're approaching you with like a needle or something, then maybe you can look
different ball game. Run the other way if there's violence being happening. But that's not what we're talking about. But other than
that, yes, I agree 100%. And especially Venice right now. Yeah. It's not good over there right now, is it?
It's not good. Yeah. And I don't know. It
just seems to be getting worse, kind of, right? It's like,
hopefully one of these politicians, I believe in taking personal responsibility as much as we can do. And, I'm trying to solve what I can solve within my means. And hopefully I can inspire a politician to start using love as a metric.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, well, hopes and dreams, Jake. Hopes and dreams.
Run. You got my vote if you run.
One day.
You ever thought about potentially running for some type of local?
I joke it sometimes. Yeah. My wife's like, no. But now I'm even more. It's like, it's going to be the purple party and it's going to be the love party. It's right. More people are in the middle. And this isn't about politics. I think it's about humanity.
Yeah. I've joked about it too, as like in a prank fashion, like for something to go viral and like call it, because they do that in Europe. I know, like in a lot of countries, like the UK, no matter what percentage of votes you get, you can like basically be in the running. You're on the final tally, and you see some people. I don't know if you've seen some of these like final, like people who like run as like Darth Vader and literally wear just like a Darth Vader costume. So I would probably do something like that if I was on.
You know what? The system needs to get shaken up, and if that's a way to shake it up, so be it.
Yeah, fair enough. So
Jake, where can the audience find you?
Jake's Funny on TikTok and Facebook. Jake Gould on Instagram and Snapchat, YouTube, pretty much everywhere. OnlyFans coming soon, but it's not out yet, so stay tuned.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dropping some humor, talking about your dad, and just being you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. This was fun.